We're off and running. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Let's talk some birds as we do every single day year round. And that's why you hit that subscribe button to join the movement here on the program. Coming up on the show, ESPN had some crazy predictions for this upcoming Eagles offseason. Of course, Philadelphia in 2025, finishing with an 11-6 record as part of this offseason preview to really set the foundation for what we're getting into on today's show. The final Football Power Index ranking for Philadelphia, number 3 in the NFL. Their estimated 2026 cap space, minus $1.1 million. Now, you look at a place like Over the Cap, and Philadelphia is, I think, 19th in the NFL among the 32 teams in cap room with $16 million. All of that is going to be decided soon. And I also imagine that the total NFL cap number for all teams across the NFL as far as salary cap goes is going to get over $300 million. So with Howie Roseman restructuring contracts, making some roster moves, with the cap going up, the Eagles will have more cap space than this, I promise you that. And where they're selecting in the first round of the NFL draft after losing to the Niners, it has been decided. Philadelphia, not in a bad spot in that first round. That's the positive of that early exit. 23rd overall in the upcoming 2026 NFL draft. And Howie Roseman, when talking about this Eagles upcoming offseason, said something very interesting last week. He said that the Eagles have invested a lot of money recently into the offense. And so what Philadelphia has done, they have drafted and developed on defense. That's why that unit going into 2025 was one of the youngest and cheapest units in the NFL, which is a good roster building strategy because the Eagles had the highest paid offense in the NFL. And here is that direct quote from Howie Roseman during him and Nick Sirianni's end of the season press conference. And he made it be known that the cameras were rolling, that the microphone was on. Can I clarify one thing, Howie said? I think it's important for our fans to understand. You can do whatever it takes to win now and still build for the future and still have those parallel paths. I just don't want it to get confused that we can't do whatever it takes to build a championship caliber team next year and also continue to have really good players on this team for the future. So I just want to make sure that we're on the same page on that. I think that was pretty intentional from Howie. He wants Eagles fans to have realistic expectations for this offseason, and it gives us all a preview as to what the Eagles could do. So what I expect Philadelphia to do, they might come to difficult decisions where they have to let some marquee free agents go so that they can draft and develop, and that's in free agency. In the draft, I would not be surprised if the Eagles go offensive heavy early in the 2026 NFL draft in April, which this year happens to be in Pittsburgh. That's what ESPN said on the Eagles' offseason priority. Get the offense pointed in a better direction. The Eagles have the highest salaried offense in football, but the unit was still average or below average for most of the season. The Eagles will need to examine everything from coaching to personnel to avoid a repeat showing in 2026. The fact that this was the most expensive offense in the NFL in 2025, and they were so mediocre to bad all year, is a big problem. You know who's not happy about that? The guy who writes and signs off on the checks in Jeffrey Lurie. The man who makes the moves and put this talented roster together in Howie Roseman. So we'll see what coaching changes the Eagles make outside of offensive coordinator. Obviously, that's the big domino. We'll see what personnel changes the Eagles also make on the offensive side of the ball. This coordinator hire is going to be really important. And I've talked about this. Howie talked about this. They want to get the best candidate. They don't care about continuity. They don't care about having that candidate for a long period of time. The goal is to win a Super Bowl. As far as some news on that front, new official interview being added to the list. We gave you our Eagles offensive coordinator tracker yesterday. Be sure to check that video out. Brian Daboll yesterday was a rumored candidate. Today, an official candidate. Interviewing with Philadelphia today. He coached Jalen Hurts at Alabama, DeVonta Smith at Alabama, Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants, 2022 Coach of the Year with the Giants. He coached with Nick Sirianni all the way back in 2013 while with the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick Sirianni has said, I look up to Brian Daboll. All those things are positives, and he's one of the better offensive minds in football. He helped to develop Josh Allen into the quarterback who we see today, and Daboll might get that head coaching job after the Bills fired Sean McDermott. The bad is that after 2022, those Giants teams were bad, and last year, Giants, despite ranking pretty high in a lot of offensive categories when Daboll was the head coach, they were dead last in pre-snap motion. So if you want some new innovation, I don't know if Daboll is going to bring that to Philadelphia. Back to ESPN. On their second biggest priority for the Eagles this offseason, what is one secondary priority to watch? Navigate some tough decisions on defense. 3 key contributors in edge rusher Jalen Phillips, linebacker Nakobe Dean, and safety Reed Blankenship are set to hit free agency. General manager Howie Roseman likely won't sign them all, especially with Jalen Carter and others in line for big paydays in the near future. In 2025, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Since the acquisition of Jalen Phillips, the Eagles were the #1 scoring defense in the NFL. Jalen Phillips starter, though. Nakobe Dean starter. Reed Blankenship starter. There are going to be some changes on that side of the ball as well. And I think back to Howie's quote, what Howie could have been alluding to was that the Eagles aren't going to be able to sign a Nakobe Dean, a Jalen Phillips, and or a Reed Blankenship. And what also plays into that, some of the marquee extension candidates that the Eagles have on defense. They haven't paid a lot of money on that side of the ball. That's going to change. Jalen Carter now, contract extension eligible. Same can be said for Jordan Davis, who emerged as a great leader in the locker room. The Eagles value that. And then Nolan Smith is really important to what the Eagles do. ESPN did not talk about the future of Jake Elliott. I think this is an under-the-radar story. The Eagles did make him the second highest paid kicker recently. And if the Eagles do move on from him, the dead cap number for a kicker is pretty high. But the Eagles also might say, he's costing us too much. He's been pretty average the last 2 years. It's time to move on. That is worth watching. Here's what ESPN said on Dallas Goedert. Some Eagles fans might be excited about this potential prediction. He is a valuable member of the Eagles offense, but the Eagles have a lot of tough free agent decisions. The 31-year-old might have more value to them than any other team. And if he's not eager to max out his value in free agency, it makes sense that the Eagles find a way to keep him. But if he's back, I expect it'll be on a team-friendly deal. I would love for Dallas Goedert to be back. I think for a long time, he's been an extremely underrated player this past year. He had probably the most productive season of his career, and he was able to stay healthy. But Dallas Goedert probably has one more opportunity to land a big payday in his NFL career. Is he going to take a team-friendly deal? I'm not sure that he does, and I'm not sure that he should. And if he doesn't and he goes somewhere else, tight end is going to become a big need in the draft and or free agency for the Eagles here. Isaiah Likely, maybe a Kyle Pitts, although Kyle Pitts can't block. Kenyon Sadiq in the draft would be an excellent pickup. Goddard's numbers in 2025, it's unfortunate that the blocking suffered. I think maybe what played into that, him trying to keep that body right. But in the regular season, 82 catches, 60 yards, 591 yards, 82 targets, 60 catches, 591 yards, and 11 touchdowns, the most for a tight end in franchise history. Still to come here on the show, an early draft outlook for the Eagles. Are the Birds going to trade Tanner McKee? And will Philadelphia also deal away A.J. Brown to an AFC power? That's all coming up just around the corner. But I want all of you to live better longer. And you can do that with Bubs Collagen Peptides. Right now, you can get 20% off your order when you use the code CHAT. One ingredient with all of the benefits. You might not know this, but the things that happen to our body as we get older, stiff joints in the morning, longer recovery from the gym, hair thinning, nails breaking, even skin losing that smooth glow, these things can be fixed. And they happen in the first place because our body's collagen levels start to naturally decline beginning as early as our mid-20s. Collagen is also often referred to as the glue that holds our bodies together. So you can imagine that a decline in collagen production as you age has some big impacts on your body. That's where Bubs Naturals Collagen Peptides comes in. Bubs helps restore collagen levels closer to what your body naturally had in its youth, so your joints feel stronger, your hair and nails grow healthier, and your skin looks smoother. Since I started taking Bubs Naturals Collagen, I'm looking and feeling like I'm in my 20s again. And Bubs has added a new meaning to New Year, New Me in 2026 by actually helping our bodies feel a lot younger. And I just love this product. I also love the protein content in just a single scoop of Bubs. No junk, zero sugars, sweeteners, or fillers, third-party tested. This mixes seamlessly, dissolves in coffee, water, or smoothies without taste or clumps. Over 100,000 five-star reviews, meaning they have a bunch of happy customers. Become a happy customer today. Live better longer. For limited time only, our listeners, our viewers get 20% off at Bubs Naturals by using our code CHAT at checkout. Just head to bubsnaturals.com, use that code CHAT, and you're all set. After you make your purchase, let them know where you heard about them and say, it's Chat Sports, Chase Sr. and Eagles. Now, let's do some draft talk real quick on the Birds looking ahead to April's draft. Right now, the Eagles slotted to have 8 selections in the 2026 draft, their own first-round pick, their own second-round pick, a third-round pick from the New York Jets. It's going to be 68th overall from that Hassan Reddick trade. A compensatory pick in the third, their own fourth, another comp pick in the fourth projected, a fifth, and then a fifth comp pick as well. Pretty good draft capital there for the Eagles. ESPN on what the Eagles will do in the draft. Cornerback could be addressed early, but Philadelphia is known for pouring resources into the trenches. Offensive tackle and edge rusher are 2 positions the team will have good round 1 options, such as Texas A&M's Cassius Howell. If the team wants to wait until day 2, Romello Height of Texas Tech and Akeem Messidor, saw him play last night in the Natty. He was really good, but he is like 25 years old, are also difference makers off the edge. And what the Eagles do in the draft is going to be fascinating to me. Do you find a Lane Johnson replacement at right tackle? Does Lane Johnson retire? Do you go center? Do you go guard because of the concerns that you had with the interior of your offensive line? I agree that corner 2 on the outside, a little bit of a problem. Pass rusher for sure. If you let Jalen Phillips go, you could run it back with Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt, but you need some depth there. So some big questions for the Eagles in the draft. Got to throw tight end in there as well. ESPN with their big prediction. The quarterback factory spits out another trade as the Eagles trade Tanner McKee to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for a middle-round pick. Somehow this deal eventually gets folded into another team-saving trade just before November's trade deadline. I would say Tanner McKee for a mid-round pick, not awful. This is huge too. It is an extremely thin 2026 quarterback draft class. Fernando Mendoza is going to go number 1 to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that's sealed, signed, and delivered after Indiana won that national championship last night. What a job by Curt Cignetti this year. After Fernando Mendoza, though, who is the second best quarterback in this draft class? Dante Moore. He's going back to Oregon. So that could elevate the value for Tanner McKee. And if a quarterback-needy team doesn't like the draft options or the value with where they might take a quarterback at their given draft slot, Tanner McKee could become an option. Mac Jones could become an option. Shoot, I mean, Malik Willis might get a bag in NFL free agency. Tanner McKee, definitely disappointing in the regular season finale against Washington. I thought what he had done prior to that, regular season action, preseason action, was very impressive. I think that's more of the player who he is instead of the inaccurate Tanner McKee who we saw against Washington in Week 18. But I think he could have some trade value. Of course, a big storyline this offseason, what happens to A.J. Brown? ESPN predicting A.J. Brown gets traded to the Buffalo Bills. They will have a new head coach in 2026, and right now, their wide receiver talent is mediocre at best. They've got a bunch of 2s, 3s, and 4s at that wide receiver position, and then they had a bunch of injuries from that first-round playoff game, and this season collectively, that Mecole Hardman had to get elevated from the practice squad in the divisional round against the Denver Broncos. So ESPN thinks that A.J. Brown could be a trade target for the Buffalo Bills. Browns Happy to be here. Quotient in Philly is miserably low. He's a great player, and great players are hard to replace, but the Eagles have never been scared to make a move due to salary cap implications. The Eagles can actually save $7 million on the cap by designating Brown a post-June 1 trade, and it feels like it's time. Some league executives have felt that way since October. The Bills have to upgrade there. Their best receiver is Khalil Shakir, who is a nice player, but he's not a top guy, an NFL personnel evaluator said. A.J. Brown is an immediate upgrade, and he's still young, turning 29 in June, and the Eagles can build the passing game around DeVonta Smith and a high draft pick. Other potential fits via NFL scouts: Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, San Francisco 49ers, and Las Vegas Raiders, although I don't think the Eagles are going to be trading A.J. Brown to a rival in the Niners, who have gotten them the last two times that they have played, and the Eagles and Niners will play again in 2026 in Santa Clara, California. We're going to see what happens with A.J. Brown. I'd hate to see him traded. 4 straight years of over 1,000 yards in 4 years with the Eagles, a 3-time All-Pro, arguably the best wide receiver in franchise history. But if it is a post-June 1 designation, and the Eagles can save $7 million, get rid of a malcontent and a distraction, and they build that passing game around DeVonta Smith, you would then definitely have to draft a wide receiver early or sign a player like an Alec Pierce in free agency. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Don't forget to give me a follow on social media: X, Instagram, TikTok, at Chase_Senior, Facebook, Chase Senior Chat Sports. Say what's up, too, while you're at it.